www.co.uk.
Welcome back, and we're on an international tip today. And let's see if we've got Jeff Lane. Can you hear us, Jeff?
I can. Can you hear me?
Indeed.
Excellent.
Thank you
Loud
for calling.
and clear.
Thank you for calling this afternoon. Good morning.
Good morning.
So what part of the states are you calling from, Jeff?
I'm on the East Coast, up in the Northeast, in a state called New Hampshire.
Okay, nice.
Sounds very nice.
Sounds very.
Everything is very named after, I think, all the towns in England where people came from. I live in a town called Dover, and I work in a town called Portsmouth. So.
Oh wow! No way.
Is
It's
it many?
kind of an English feel up here.
Is there much fishing going on there?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
There's a lot of fishing to the north of me and to the south. There's probably more. New Hampshire only has about, I think, 11 miles of coast. Maine and Massachusetts get a lot more ocean than we do.
Stephen King isn't he not from up your way?
Yeah, actually, I grew up about an hour and 20 minutes from Stephen King's doorstep.
Wow.
So I grew up in Maine.
And
Joe Hill, his son, probably lives, I'm going to say, within half hour, 45 minutes of me right now.
wow.
Sounds like a little writing community going on.
It's just because it's so freaky up here. Our imagination runs wild.
Okay.
So, do you know, I wanted to say, today we've been talking about inspirations and young people being inspired and so forth. Who inspired you to do what you do? In fact, before you answer that, please tell the world what you do.
Sure. Well, I write and podcast my work. So I have a couple novels out there. One is This Paper World, which I think is how Aaron found me. And then right now I'm doing One Way. I'm currently podcasting that. And what inspired me to, I think probably just in general to be creative, probably are people like Stephen King, Dean Koontz, John Saul. Those are the authors that I found in high school. And of course, you know, when you're younger and someone tells you to read because you have to, it's kind of like, reading books, please. But I grew up, reading the Hardy Boy books, and over here we have these things called scholastic book orders where they send home these little flyers and you pick 3 or 4 books from them and you get a free poster along with it. So I was always kind of reading those sort of things, and then as, getting into that, closer to adult phase, it was Dean Koontz and Stephen King that kind of inspired me, and that's the kind of fiction in general that I really kind of gravitate toward. Anything that's speculative. If you're going to tell me a story of a normal person who lived a normal life and did some normal things and maybe shed some tears here and there, that isn't my kind of fiction. I like, when weird things start happening and someone has powers or someone creepy comes along. So that's just kind of, as I started being creative myself and putting things out there, that's the sort of thing that I write. I don't think I could write a story that didn't have something crazy going on in it.
What?
Well, I find it interesting because you talk about normal people. I don't really know that many normal people anymore, and maybe they're trying to hide some of the quirky and freaky stuff that goes on. But that's really quite interesting what you're saying.
Can I?
Yeah, and there's stories in that too. I mean, you can find people that, there's a lot of great, depths to mine in someone that lives under kind of one guise or one umbrella, but has something else going on, deep inside. And there's a lot you can get out of that too.
May I ask you, Jeff? Do you know, obviously, how I know you through your material, This Paper World, for a podcast. First of all, what inspired you to do a podcast, and why did you write This Paper World?
Well, those two came at very different times in my life. I actually wrote This Paper World I started it in the summer of 2000, finished the first draft in the late summer of 2001, and then started my edits after that. The podcasting thing came obviously much later, and it was just a desire to give back to the podcasting community. I'd picked up starting to listen to podcasts through just some of the geek pop culture stuff that was out there. There were some podcasts on the show Lost and Doctor Who, and those were things that I first kind of get into. And I thought, wow, these are people who are just passionate about something, and there's no money in podcasting as far as I can tell. And these people are out there just talking and building an audience and building a community around a subject that everyone kind of loves. So I thought, wow, I like to do that, but I couldn't think of anything to get on board with. There were a million Lost podcasts, a million Doctor Who podcasts. So I was looking for that next thing I could maybe podcast about. And then I also found a lot of audio fiction via the podcast method. So there were, Starship Sofa, which is out of England, and Escape Pod. These are all short fiction things. Then I found some novelists that were putting their stuff out. I said, this is great. This is a great idea. But I still didn't connect the two. I had this old manuscript of This Paper World gathering digital dust on a hard drive, and I still was scratching my head, what in the world could I possibly podcast about? And then it just kind of hit me, wait a second, why don't I do something with this book, put it out there and see what people think? And at the very least, I'm going to find out very quickly that I'm a hack writer, and people are going to tell me, don't ever type a story again.
And for those who don't know, can you tell us what This Paper World is about, please?
Sure. I classify it, I always tell people it's Star Wars meets Stephen King meets the X-Men.
Wow.
It's about a young gentleman who's in his first year of college, and he grew up next to an old guy who he spent a lot of time with, bonding with as a younger kid, learning martial arts and how to fire a gun. And as he got in high school, he kind of gravitated towards sports and his friends and grew away from this older man. But he's starting to believe that maybe there was something more to their time together, and there might be something more to him. He gets in a fight that he shouldn't win and handily defeats his opponent, and goes back for Christmas break and talks to this older gentleman, and the older gentleman comes clean that he is what they call a champion. And a champion is not normal. A champion has abilities, and he's not strictly a human being. And Jim realizes, he's the protagonist, he realizes he has a choice, that he can kind of embrace this life of a champion, which is dangerous, which you kind of have almost an obligation to do right and fight wrong. And there's also a war brewing. There's the nemesis of the champions are spoilers, and they're very dangerous and very nasty. And so he's sort of a reluctant hero. He's not sure if he wants to get involved in this. He's in college. He's doing well. He has a passion for marine biology, and he thinks, I would just rather live a normal life. Unfortunately, his hand gets played, and he has to make some choices to save Park, the older man, his older man.
And I'm going to pause you right there before you give any more of the story away.
But do you know what I really like as well? See, when you're doing podcasts, are there sound effects as well, or is it literally just your voice?
In this time around with This Paper World, it was real basic, just my voice, with kind of an outro song from a band that's local here. With One Way, I've added a couple of just music stings at the beginning of a chapter, these are really music cues which tell you which place in time you are, because this is a bit of a time travel story, so you have to know which timeline you're on.
Okay.
And sorry to interrupt you, Jeff. What is One Way is your new project?
Yeah, One Way is my new project.
And what is One Way about?
Sure, real briefly, a guy works late at night. He has a long commute home through rural Maine, a place where any good creepy story should happen. And he stops to get gas. He walks out, and his wife is standing by his vehicle. And he's like, what in the world is she doing here? And as he gets closer, she looks thinner. She looks more frail. And she tells him that she hasn't seen him in 4 years.
And I'm Jeff, I'm going to pause you right there. And the reason I'm going to pause you right there on the story is because I've been listening to the story for the last, I think, 4 weeks. Correct me if I'm wrong. And I have to say, it's probably one of the most scariest audiobooks I've listened to.
Serious?
Yeah.
Do you know what? Do you know why I think it probably is? Because what I love about books, and sorry to cut you, what I love about reading, is it's your imagination. Okay, which can take you on a journey.
Yeah.
What I love about the audio aspect is, for some people, as you even referred to earlier, Jeff, is sometimes when you're told to read, reading can be a bit of a chore.
Yeah.
Because I like the idea of the audio that opens up the audience for how people can actually get hold of this literature.
Yeah.
But your mind can do many, many, many crazy things.
I always
with you.
listen. I've been listening
With the lights
to,
off?
Yeah, pretty much when I'm in bed. When I'm in bed, when I go to bed at night, I've been listening to the One Way, and I tell you something. It's a really, really great ride. I have to say, it's a fantastic, because this Paper World was fantastic, but One Way has taken me in a different realm altogether in terms of audiobooks.
Okay.
And as Jeff said, that there's no sound effects, there's no gimmicks.
Yeah.
It's just this gentleman's voice, and I have to say, Jeff, listening to your voice while interviewing you is quite scary right now.
he's writing the new story.
Yeah, because the last time I heard your voice, I was in bed listening, and you were talking about Jedediah.
Oh yeah.
So where can we find you, Jeff?
Yeah, you can find me online at jefflaneaudiobooks.com. That's where kind of everything lives. If you have iTunes, you can go on iTunes and just search my name in the iTunes store, and you'll find the main podcast feed, which has everything in there, including some short stories. And I always do author commentary where I can talk about feedback I'm getting and things like that. So everything Jeff Lane is there. You can also find me on Twitter at writer Jeff Lane, and I'm on Facebook. Just look for the Jeff Lane Audiobooks Facebook page.
And is there anybody you'd like to say hello to around the world, at home, in terms of who you're working with at the moment?
I'd just like to say, anybody who has been listening to the podcast, thank you very much. The support has been so overwhelmingly incredible. People from around the world. My first email I ever got was from New Zealand. I've gotten an email from Zimbabwe, a lot of folks emailing me from the UK, from the United States. So I just want to say hey to anybody who's listening, and thank you so much. I don't do this for money, I don't do it for pay, and so when I get an email that says, been listening to your book, it's great, keep up the good work, that's like worth $1 million to me. It's awesome. So yeah.
Can I just ask, sorry, some of your new marketing, so would you say that you've got a lot of recognition now through the podcasting or through tweeting or through Facebook? What do you think has really catapulted your work?
I think it's the podcasting. I think that's where I've gained an audience, and then I think you're going to find that there are people out there that passively listen to the work and they go, oh, there was another audiobook, that was pretty good, okay. And they move on. They have no, compulsion to connect with me, or they're not rabid Jeff Lane super fans. But then the Twitter and the Facebook piece of it, and of course the website and emails and things like that, that's where I've got a small group of people that I interact with pretty regularly, and starting to consider them my friends. Mr. T right there, he emailed me probably over a year ago, and we've been corresponding back and forth ever since. And that's what I love about it, because it's not just me typing away in a dark room. It's interaction. People are telling me what they think about the book, giving me tips. It's great.
And that's what's another beautiful thing, I think, about, because we're talking about inspirations. A lot of our radio shows are about different forms of inspiration. And what I like about what you've even just said is sometimes our young people can be inspired by someone who could be too far away, or is like a quote famous person who they feel was almost untouchable. And what you've almost said in a sense is that you enjoy that interaction with your audience, that kind of makes you feel good about the work that you're doing. Your audience feels in touch with you, and that kind of keeps the motivation and the inspiration going, that you could be one of us. We could be a writer. We could do what you do because you are a human being like we are.
Absolutely. I'm very touchable.
That's good to hear.
You no longer have to, think of these people as mythical creatures from afar.
Yeah.
I'm a real person. Shoot me an email and I'll shoot you one back.
And that's really nice.
Thank you ever so much, Jeff, for calling in. It's as you said, we've been corresponding for about a year now, so it's a real honor for me to obviously speak to you. I love your work. Keep the work going.
We're going to put your work up on our Facebook pages and the links so people can actually hear. Because when I was thinking about your work, are you similar to Twin Peaks? Remember Twin Peaks?
Do you know what?
I do remember. That was just a touch before my time for me to get into it.
Okay. But that was kind of quirky.
Yeah, it's. Do you know what? If I had to compare, I don't like to do comparisons, but if I had to compare anybody to Jeff's work, it would have to be Scott Sigler. in terms of his work.
Okay.
And Scott Sigler again, he does different types of story. But if I had to, that's the only comparison I can make.
Okay.
Or even Stephen King.
Okay.
In terms of his work and in the journey that it takes you on.
Okay.
Sorry,
I may have to turn my lights off one evening and do a podcast and
Indeed.
see what ride I go on.
So thank you for calling, Jeff.
No, thank you
guys
very much.
Thanks for the kind words. This is an awesome way to start a Sunday morning.
Excellent. And say hello to the family.
I will do. We'll do that. Thanks.
Take care.
Thank you for
Bye.
your
I'll speak to you
time.
soon. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Wow.
Wow. Truly inspired. Today has been a fantastic day.
Hasn't it? Really, I like his tone of his voice. He's got a good voice.
Listen
actually.
to the book. Trust me, you're going to love it. I'll tell you something. His work is going to be so out there in terms of growth. And I see, in terms of his material, as big as a franchise, as big as the X-Men. I really do, but not cheesy, without the cheese.
Yeah.
You know, but in terms
But
of
what I
franchise.
like is, and I think this is it, because we were just saying during one of the commercial breaks, is it's about how people think out the box.
Yeah.
I think
definitely.
if you stay in the box,
Yeah.
that's just where you're going to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Become the box. That's what I say on set. The actors, they're like, Aaron, I don't know what to say. Become the box.
No, but really, you know, because there's so much technology, and even kind of touching on what we were talking about last week in terms of the whole kind of iPhone, BlackBerry technology, you need to understand technology. And if you understand the amazingness actually of how it's kind
It's
of
a
been
great
created,
tool. It's a great
and
tool.
understanding that tool, because if we have 13-year-olds, 17-year-olds,
For real.
18, I mean, Cleo has her own website, I'm sorry, and
Can we mention that
and-
again, please?
Clee Clothing, but she's 18 with her own website, and it is a tight website.
Yeah, she's on it.
You know, and this is all modern. She's on Facebook, etc., etc. So for
Mm-hmm.
me, it's about, and these young people are not playing. They are getting out there and they are selling their stuff. So big up actually to everyone who has contributed right
Today,
about now.
I feel really great today. It's been a fantastic calling in day today. So big up everybody that called in today, and keep the fire burning. Doing your thing.
Yeah, and I've got some information.
Oh, you have?
Just talking about, we were talking about young people, how they need inspiration, because obviously for some people they can look at young people, stereotype them and have no time, but time is what you need to give young people. Yeah, it doesn't have to be all every day, every week, but it's about time. And two things that I would like to promote.
Please do.
Yeah.
Let's hear it.
One is this evening, again in the northwest area. Yeah. Is at the Tabernacle, beautiful building.
Do you know what? I tell you something. They've really done that place some good. It
Listen,
looks amazing. Have you seen the
beautiful
gallery?
building. Yeah. I mean,
I'm not even into art, but it's the type of space that where you go into it, you can really appreciate the room.
yeah, but I mean,
The works that go
we
in.
have. Do you remember Caroline, who was on our show a couple of weeks ago?
Are you serious? How can I forget Caroline?
Miss Caroline.
Hello,
yeah.
Caroline, if you're listening.
Yeah, hello Caroline. But her sister Sorrel runs her organisation called Young Stars, and they work with young people. I think about 5 to 18 doing dance, and they operate from the Tabernacle.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Which part? Upstairs?
Upstairs in the studio.
Oh, wow. Because I
Yeah.
actually went upstairs and they showed me the studio. Oh, that's really good.
Yeah, so big up to Sorrel and Young Stars.
That's really, really good. Well
But
done.
big up to the Tabernacle as well. The reason why I'm mentioning the Tabernacle is because there's going to be a music and fashion showcase this evening. It's only £5 to get in. But the reason why I'm letting you know is because the host is Rodney P.
The rapper?
Forefather of UK hip hop.
Oh, wow.
Guest appearances from Kojo the comedian. There's going to be catwalk, etc. But the reason why I'm saying is because these are the young people from the Avenues Youth Centre. Now, Avenues is based on the Mozark Estate. Mozark Estate has its own reputation, okay? But these young people are from this estate, and they're broadcasting the fashion and the music that they've created. So again, it's about just congratulate these young people rather than just talking about what the kids from the Mozark are doing, which is negative. Let's look at those kids from the Mozark who are doing amazing work, and they will be at the Tabernacle this evening from 7 p.m. Yeah. The other thing.
And can
that,
I also say,
okay.
before you move on, you can actually grab a great meal or something to eat.
The food's all right.
The
No,
food-
no. Let me tell you.
Sorry,
Do you
go
know
on.
who the chef is?
No, tell me. Yeah.
Oh my goody gosh! I don't know. In Queens Park, there
Yeah.
used to be this restaurant called Fats.
Yes.
Soul food. Listen,
Back in the day.
if people don't know about soul food, yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, I love my West Indian, but this is the American in me. I'm sorry, but bring on some soul food, okay? The guy who used to have Fats
I
in
remember.
Queens, he's a chef at the Tabernacle.
Seriously, the food's bad. That's what I was just about to say. The food is wicked, man.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. So get on down to the Tabernacle. Yeah. The other thing that I want to big up is, okay, as much as I am an intellectual young lady.
Her whole posture and her body language changed.
I had to cross my legs as I did that. I was flicking through a trashing magazine recently, actually yesterday, and the page that stood out to me was actually regarding Stephen Lawrence. And I thought that it was very important that...
That's the time that we were in college. It happened when we were at Hammersmith. Yeah, that's one day I'll never, ever forget.
Full circle.
We were going to college at that time. And do you remember where we used to, after lessons, I would say congregate and read our books. Yeah, that area there. And I remember hearing about it then. Let's hear about
What
it.
I've got from Reveal magazine, I will actually let them people know, is there was a whole page dedicated to Stephen Lawrence. And Stephen Lawrence was a young man who was murdered several years ago when he was 18 years old. Following on from Stephen Lawrence's parents, my lord, they busted their chops. They went to court. They did a whole range of things to get this publicised, but which came out of the unfortunate events where they actually started their own foundation for Stephen Lawrence
Foundation. Yeah.
Because I believe that Stephen Lawrence wanted to be an architect, and even then, for me, that Stephen Lawrence wanted to be an architect. So as much as all of the other people who we've spoken to and all the people who want to be sports and entertainment, you know, I back that completely. But Stephen Lawrence wanted to be an architect. Yeah, for me, that in itself defies the stereotype.
Yeah, for real.
And the headline is Building a Future Thanks to Stephen Lawrence, okay? There's a whole page on the charitable funds. 3 people are featured on it, a 28-year-old, a 32-year-old, and a 24-year-old who were able to get funding through the Stephen Lawrence Foundation and who've gone on to pursue education and careers. So really, big up to Stephen Lawrence. You're never forgotten.
For real.
He was a
Always
young
lives in our
man
hearts.
who had ambition and drive, and his life was taken from us. So that was it really, is that also if anyone also wants to give any money towards the Stephen Lawrence Foundation, there's a whole heap of charitable funding activities taking place out there. So while the cuts have been taking place by the Conservative government, while the Olympics is sucking all of our money, while interest rates are going up, gas is going up, Christmas is around the corner, let's just take time, and let's just give money to within our communities, and big up the young people and support them, because without some of this help, some of these young people wouldn't be pursuing their careers. And an architect, these are skilled individuals. When you think about the Millennium Dome, or you think about the Olympic, someone had to design that. And that isn't some little sketch.
But it starts off as a sketch.
It starts off as a sketch, but to design each room, the structure, the material, it is no joke being an architect. So big up all the architects and big up all the young people who want to, even for the young lady Maya who wants to be a lawyer, young people who want to learn, who enjoy learning and have no problem doing an additional 5 to 9 years of study to make their dreams come true.
Make it happen. And every person today has inspired us tremendously. The energy that you've left in the studio in regards to what you're doing, whether it be designing clothes or teaching young people or writing books or whatever it may be that you're doing, cutting hair, you're a great inspiration to us, and you've left a wonderful energy today. So I thank you, I commend you, I take off my hat, I salute you, and all of it.
Yeah.
All of it. And do we have a fantastic tune to really Do we have a? Do you know what? Do we have a tune to play for each and every person that called in today and listened to us today, just for them?
Oh, I feel really under pressure now.
Just
all right.
for them.
No, you know what? I was gonna play Donald Jones.
Forget
tune.
that.
Okay.
Put that
What
aside.
I was gonna play which was a part of the thing, is actually a French group.
Okay.
French hip hop.
Yes.
And these two women, they are called Les Nubians.
Okay.
Yeah. Two beautiful women. This is actually an old album, and I brought it out because with it being an internet station, we're global, we're international,
Yeah.
and we spoke about thinking out the box. We can't be too centralised and listen to the same. See certain stations here on FM. I'm not even going to mention certain stations, but certain stations play the same old 20 tunes that are on replay all the time.
I've got 2 words for that. They're called dry tunes.
Okay.
Yeah,
So they play them tunes, and sometimes.
Hold on, I'm going to pause you right there.
Okay.
We got a minute. Play that tune.
Okay, I'm going to play.
I sound like that. Do you remember that show? Play that tune. Or was it Name That Tune?
It was Name That Tune.
I'm sorry to have interrupted you there.
No, that's fine. We do this. But they're called Les Nubians, and it's called Taboo.
Take care. Have a great weekend.
Oh, I didn't even play my Anthony Hammer. I didn't play Myron.
Today was a wicked show. Well done. Well done. It's a pity you didn't record it, man.
That's what I was thinking. It's the one show that he didn't.